So what's it like becoming the face of skateboarding? Well, let's ask him. Let's bring in Tony Hawk right now. Tony, good to have you here.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Well, let's talk about first about what you're doing with Julian's auctions. Tell us about the 900 collection that you're auctioning off here.
Well, I didn't save a lot of my stuff through the decades of skating, but I did have some ones that seemed to remain around me, and I realized that I could get a collection together and maybe offer it to fans. Like I said, I'm not real sentimental about all this stuff, but I do have all the gear that I used at that event in X Games 1999, my skateboard, my shoes, my helmet, and my knee pads. And then I have a lot of other one of one items like these ones behind me. This is actually the first pro model I ever received that I rode.
Wow.
This one was a one of one that was actually caught in a house fire, so it's smoke damaged and it's got a lot of history. And this is the 900 board right here.
Yeah, and Tony, when you look at the 90s and the X Games and the rise of skateboarding, primarily because of you, for these moments that you were able to accomplish such incredible feats, skateboarding was in a tremendous spot. But since then, we haven't heard as much. What have you been doing lately to help continue the rise of skateboarding? Maybe getting involved in a skateboarding league or investing in a league of any sort? What are you doing on your end to help continue to grow skateboarding?
Whatever I can. Advocacy. We have a foundation for public skate parks called the Skate Park Project. We've been doing that since 2002 and helped to open over 700 skate parks across the U.S. So, I mean, to be honest, I feel like that's probably the way I'm most effective in terms of using my voice and my recognition to open more facilities so that people have more access. But I mean, you'd be surprised. Skateboarding is as big as ever, and it's in the Olympics now. So it's more of where are you looking?
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask about that because
Yes.
you were definitely one of the people that really sort of advocated for skateboarding to be included in the Olympics, and it got it in 2020. What was that feeling like of finally getting it there?
Well, to be honest, I think for me it was about time. At some point it was like if you're not including a sport like skateboarding in the Olympics for considering how popular it is and how similar it is to, say, snowboarding, then you're just in denial of how big it really is. But I think that at some point I thought they need skateboarding's cool factor more than we need their validation. But I still think it'd be a great opportunity. So I was campaigning for it as much as I could. And yeah, it's in Tokyo, and then it was in Paris, and now it's going to be in LA, and hopefully there'll be more disciplines. So I feel like we're on the right track.
Yeah, skateboarding, as you mentioned, bigger than ever, especially on the world scale, and you're such a big part of that. What was the secret sauce from the video game to the iconic, just historic feats that you accomplished? Most people that grew up, like myself and even Baker, grew up a huge fan of Tony Hawk as an athlete, bigger than even skateboarding. What made you one of the biggest superstar athletes of your time to put skateboarding on the map? What do you think it was?
I think a lot of my name recognition comes from video games. That is not lost on me, and I would never discount how important that was to my career and my longevity. I mean, I was never going to quit skating, but the idea that people are even still interested in what I do in my late 50s is baffling to me. But I love it, and I'm living the dream. It's amazing.
Well, and we're seeing in college a lot of athletes now being able to utilize their name, image, and likeness, something you've been able to do throughout your entire career. What advice do you have for those in terms of building a brand and building your name as sort of something that you're sort of behind?
You got to keep moving. You got to keep trying to outdo what you did before. Keep challenging yourself. Longevity is one of the hardest things, especially in sports. And I just never quit. That's my secret. I never quit skating. I always try to keep improving my skills, and I think people at some point appreciated that.
And given all of your work that you're doing on all throughout skateboarding, I should say, you mentioned skate parks, of course, we're talking the Olympics, so many different aspects that skateboarding's in. What else would you like to see next? It does feel like there's so much room in sports in general, whether it's media deals, new leagues, investment. What's next that skateboarding needs to take to continue to grow the sport?
Well, I think that it's more international opportunity and availability. I think countries that haven't acknowledged that skateboarding could be beneficial to their youth should step up. And yeah, they're moving, like X Games is moving into a league format, so that we're going to test the waters there. And I think it's in a really good place. And I mean, if people want to skate these days, there is so much available to them. And when I was a kid, there was nothing. I mean, skating was the furthest thing from cool you could do, and there were no parks, and parents didn't want you doing it, so everything has changed.
Tony, was there ever an endorsement or a brand deal over the years that you thought, oops, maybe I shouldn't have done that one? Maybe is there one that you want to take back?
No, because I learned along the way. I think it wasn't so much the brand, it was more the direction they wanted to take the marketing, and use skateboarding in a way that I didn't think was respectful. And I learned those lessons and moved on. I mean, I have to embrace my failures as well.
Definitely, and I want to circle back to this incredible auction that you have with Julian Auctions with your 900 collection. And you mentioned people still know you a lot as from the video game, I should say. When you look at just the growth of your career, the legacy that you've had, what else are you seeing that people are responding to? We're in such a social media era, NIL era. What's the other responses that you're getting as Tony Hawk on the streets, in the video games, in the auctions that maybe even surprised you a little bit?
Well, honestly, just getting recognized at all, because like I said, when I was a kid, skating wasn't cool, and so you never could aspire to be rich or famous from it. No one was. It just didn't happen. So the idea that people recognize me or even know anything about me is still kind of a shock. I'm very thankful for it, and it's a big reason I get to do what I do. This auction has been really fun to dig into my archives and just find stuff that was like, I didn't think this X Games pass from 1996 would be anything ever. And now there's other people that'll be interested in it, and I just happen to have it in a drawer.
How much money do you think a lot of this stuff's going to go for at this auction?
I don't know. I am not trying to. I don't want to have super high hopes.
Okay.
Whatever happens. I mean, the one item that it has been the hardest for me to, not hardest, but the one that I wrestled with was this one for sure, because that's the board that people saw. That's the board I rode in the '99 X Games doing the first 900, and it's iconic, I suppose. But I'm ready to go. I'm ready to have someone else enjoy it.
Yeah,
these are priceless things.
Yes, clean out the house. Yeah, Tony,
we're gonna see. We'll find out.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, you can bid on a lot of these items at juliansauctions.com. Tony, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.